Hello, this is Robert DeGraff from lawofonestudy.com, and today we're going to do a quick video on the potentiator of the mind. And this is card number 2, or archetype number 2. And it's actually very kind of easy to figure out. There's basically 7 steps, and this corresponds to, I'm sure you've watched the video of our first video, Matrix of the Mind. If you haven't, I'd recommend going to watch that. See how there's 7 steps: mind path, body path, spirit path. Same thing, it's just a different way of looking at it for the names. So 1 through 7, matrix, potentiator, catalyst, experience, significator, transformation, and great way. And at first those don't completely make you visualize things, but as you work with them, these actually make a lot of sense. And it just repeats. So matrix through great way repeats again. Matrix through great way, matrix through great way. So you have the mind, the body, the spirit. It's the matrix of the mind. Number 8, matrix of the body. Number 15, matrix of the spirit. And it just repeats those 7. So you really just kind of got to learn what those 7 mean, and those 7 steps that you progress through. Your mind goes through those 7 steps. Your body goes through these 7 steps. Your spirit goes through these 7 steps. Mind through the 7 steps. Body through the 7 steps. Spirit through the 7 steps. And it combines into archetype number 22. And I'll upload these so you have these. But basically, so we did matrix of the mind. I was archetype number 1. And archetype number 2 is potentiator of the mind. So see how we're progressing through these. So matrix was consciousness. The first card, so card number 1 was consciousness. This card represents consciousness. So what do you think card number 2 is? Unconsciousness. Or mostly intuition. If you think of it as intuition, a lot of the terminologies and stuff make a lot more sense. So you can look at it as the first card's consciousness, the second card's unconsciousness, and then the third card, and you know, as you start to put all the cards together and understand what they mean as you go through the different archetypes, it makes a whole lot more sense. Or you can look at it a lot of different ways. One way is to look at it is just analyze this card, and you can kind of photocopy it out of the Law of One Book 4 book and use cardboard and make your own cards and meditate on this as you study it and what it all means. And you can kind of just, without thinking of the other cards, just analyze what just this one card means. And if you think of this as just kind of intuition, you get a whole new other insights. So let's see. So this the Brotherhood of Light set cards, which are similar to what is in the Law of One. And in book 4, if you read, I think it's within the first 4 pages, they talk about George Fathman's The Royal Road set is what they're using in the Law of One. And it's got to be pretty close to this one, because this one's pretty close, because the Sacred Tarot by C.C. Zane, his number 2. See how it's the Brotherhood of Light cards, that's the same. And then if you compare it to what's actually in the Law of One, it's pretty close. Notice how they call it Veiled Isis in this. It's just a different way of looking at it, but it's fairly close. It's got both. There's black here, white there. It's got the shawl. Very close, the veil. Both of them have a veil. So again, I recommend, like I said in the first video, studying the Law of One first, because it'll make a lot more sense, the book 4. Once you do that, then look at the C.C. Zane afterwards, but study the Law of One first. So obviously, look, there's 2 pillars, a black one and a white one. Represents polarity, negative path, positive path. There's a veil. Notice, remember the veil we talked about on the path. The first 2 archetypes, we first did the matrix of the mind, the potentiator of the mind. There's a veil between them, and then the veil goes away. body path, there's a veil between the first two, and there's no veil on the spiritual path. So the mind, body, spirit, veil on the first two, not on the spirit. So that's a whole different way of kind of looking at it, but that has to do with here. So again, the up here in the top, the first page number, page 159, talks about this is a female figure. The 159 corresponds to the printed book, and then the PDF page in parentheses. If you download the PDF off the lnlresearch.org website, this is the page that it corresponds to 159, the book. I wish they were the same, but they're not. They're a little different, but the text is the same. It's just you got to find them on different pages. So this veil, notice there's a veil. So in page 160, or in the PDF, page 142, the veil is the veil between the conscious and the subconscious. So that's kind of what that has to do with. Notice there's grapes. There's grapes here. The grapes, page 162, or in the PDF, page 143, the grapes is protected fertility of the conscious mind. So the page 160, you can kind of see the difference between these two poles, between positive and negative. And page 161, with PDF 142, is the spirit manifestation. So see this robe, the robe that has the grapes on it? Page 161. On the PDF it's 142. The robe is half off, half on, right? So it's half on, which kind of has to do with the veil partially lifted. So when you're in the second archetype, the veil is partially lifted and knowledge is now available. So knowledge that you didn't have in the first archetype, you now are starting to get in the second, but you have to choose it. It's available now. Also, it's cool to look is this page 162 in the PDF 143. Ra talks about there's protection for the positive path, but not for the negative path. So also on page 160, the PDF is 142. You have a choice. In your decisions and your choices every day, you can choose between the positive and negative. If you choose the positive, you have some protection. Negative, you don't have some protection. Could have to do with karma, could have to do with other things. Something to think about. So the Ankh, you notice there's an Ankh on her shirt, or she's holding it. Page 162, or in the PDF 143. Read what Ra has to say about that. So the Ankh, A-N-K-H, is also the Crux Ansata, if I'm saying that correctly. C-R-U-X-A-N-S-A-T-A. And they say on that page in 162, the sign of life as the spirit enlivening matter, or becoming more than your current incarnation. So this represents becoming more than your current incarnation. And now you're starting to have knowledge available and you can choose between the paths. Very important. Anytime I multiple star things, the more stars I add, the more important they are. Page 171, to me anyways, page 171 and 192. Read those. 171 or in the PDF 151. 192 in the book, PDF is 170. So page 161, PDF 142, one infinite creator offers itself in full to all. So it says knowledge is available. The one infinite creator offers itself in full to all. And there's on page 161, the PDF 142, there's more things about manifestation. Read that. The redrawing in the cards, as we did from the first card, that's on 191 to 192. And there's also a part about the crown. Sometimes a crown is depicted. Page 192, in the PDF it's 169. So here's some cool things to read about this card, the Potentiator of the Mind. The Potentiator of the Mind is also known as the High Priestess, or it's our archetype number 2, card number 2. So that's this card. Notice page 40, PDF 37. The sea into which consciousness dips ever deeper and more thoroughly in order to create, ideate, and become more self-conscious. Ideate means form ideas. So this is the sea into which consciousness dips ever deeper and more thoroughly in order to create, form ideas, and become more self-conscious. That really is a lot about this card. Page 34, PDF 32, this card means intuition or the unconscious. You can find that there. Page 39, in the PDF 36, read that part. Page 41, the PDF 37 at the bottom, this has to do with the veil. Read 43, 112, and then definitely read this part anytime you see stars. 155 to 163. Page 159 has to do with the female figure. 161, the manifestation. Page 162 in the PDF, 143, this talks about the protection for the right. The redrawing of the card, and all the parts of the veil that has to do with, if you read those for the first card. So this is just a quick overview of the first card. I'm trying to stay as pure and as not put words, not interpret, not take words. Just trying to stay exactly to what Ra said in this original tarot, in the original state as it was given to planet Earth. So I recommend reading these different pages, getting to know this card, and then as you start to lay all the cards side by side and study them, and then study the 7 steps, it starts to make more sense. But you also get drastic insights from just, grabbing one card and meditating on it. So you take, once you've kind of learned it, you can start, looking at the different designs on the things and what things mean, and you gain so much. There's lifetimes of knowledge in just this card. So I hope that's a good start for you all. And like I said before, I know there's got to be tons of people who are way more knowledgeable on this than I am. So hopefully we all can come together, help each other, and gain knowledge. If you read the foreword of book 4, The Law of One, in the foreword at the very beginning of the book, it talks about the 3 paths that Ra recommends that are the most common for people to reach enlightenment, knowledge, and such. The tarot, astrology, and the tree of life. So those are the 3 paths that are kind of the mystery school teachings that people kind of used, whichever one they gravitated towards more, whichever one felt better to them. But like I said before, I think nowadays with the veil thinning so much, there's hundreds of different ways of doing the same thing nowadays. So it's kind of go out, search and find what works for you. And sometimes it's a combination of things. Maybe this in combination with something else will help you gain insights. I'm learning from it every day, and I thought I'd share this, and hopefully it helps some people, and people can help back, and we'll all raise up together. Thank you very much. More videos coming soon.